lives during operations in the northeastern Sudan. Shortly after the corpses of the soldiers were brought by the pale bearers, Christian and Muslim prayers were offered for the repose of the souls of the deceased. And then the officers and men of the Nigerian army who had fought gallantly in defense of Nigeria were laid to rest. In line with military tradition, the national colors were presented to their next of kin, while wreaths were laid in their honor, and this was followed by the firing of the volley as a mark of honor for their gallantry. The Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, and the Minister of State for Defense all praised the loyalty and dedication of the soldiers and gave assurances that Nigeria will not forget them.
These gentlemen knew what they were confronted before they were undaunted, and proudly exhibited great spirit and tenacity common with Nigerian armies.
For paying the supreme sacrifice, these courageous officers and soldiers have made all of us proud.
We must be proud of the gallant efforts of these gentlemen who proudly showcase the great spirit and tenacity required to save our nation from destructive elements.
The Vice President extolled the gallantry of the fallen soldiers and pledged that insurgents in some parts of the country will soon come to an end.
Honor the dead by giving them a befitting burial, while still strategizing to defeat the enemy.
The families of the deceased were still filled with pride that their loved ones paid the ultimate sacrifice for their country.
He fought gallantly for the country of his fathers, and God would take his soul for him doing that for his country.
It is the end of the road for these officers and men of the Nigerian army. However, it is hoped that their efforts will not be in vain, and in no time insurgency would become a thing of the past. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
Federal lawmakers have passed the 2013 budget amendment bill presented by President Goodluck Jonathan. The Senate and the House of Representatives swiftly considered and passed the bill despite the differences between the executive and legislature over the amendment. Our correspondent Lanre Lasisi reports.
Highest GDP per capita.
It was clear from the very beginning that the House of Representatives was set to pass the amendment to the 2013 budget. The chairman of the House Committee on Finance, however, started by giving details of the country's fiscal position 6 months into the year and expressed some concerns.
This figure of a loss of 700,000 barrels, as we hear it, is being announced every day. Today, people are listening. But those people who are responsible for this, as far as this chamber is concerned, no matter how long it will take us, we will unravel that facts, and this money will come back to this country.
A chairman of the House Committee on Appropriation then encouraged the lawmakers to approve the report of the committee on the budget.
There are the particular issues of personnel that have been addressed, are therefore employing the House that the amendments that have been done here have been done to the best interest of our country. And I believe that, the House should kindly accept them for passage.
A request the lawmakers obliged.
The report of the Committees on Appropriation and Finance on a bill for an act to amend the 2013 appropriation. Does this reflect the position considered in the House and the Committee of Supply?
In the Senate, the bill enjoyed the same consideration.
A bill for an act to amend the 2013 Appropriation Act. The bill is read a third time and passed.
The President's liaison officer to the National Assembly said the passage of the amendment is a triumph for both the legislature and the executive.
I have never hidden my faith in the capacity of both arms of government to sort out all gray areas through the instruments of dialogue and concession.
So despite all the disagreements, both arms appear to have come to an understanding. What Nigerians will be interested in now is to see how well this budget will be implemented. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
Away from the National Assembly, more help has come for the 4,000 children affected by lead poisoning in Zamfara State. The federal government has released 479 million naira for their treatment. The Minister of Environment, Mrs. Hadiza Melafia, told a news conference in Abuja that some level of success has been achieved in the 8 villages contaminated as a result of illegal gold mining by residents.
Toxicity of lead is the root of the lead poisoning epidemic that continued for 3 years in Zamfara State, where 8 villages were severely hit by deadly lead poisoning, killing over 500 children since 2010. The children died from exposure to lead from the mines where their parents worked and where they sometimes played themselves. For years, the federal government was criticized over its seeming complacency over the matter. But now the Minister of Environment announced the ongoing partnership between the government and international agencies to stem the lead poison responsible for hundreds of deaths as well as cognitive impairment.
We had 48 exterior areas excavated and backfilled and 5-kilometer road graded. Approximately 700 cubic meters of contaminated material was retrieved from the reservoir and shoreline. One large pond, surprisingly and pitifully, this large pond used to be the pond where the villagers and their animals fetched water from. And this large pond in the village was completely backfilled.
Continuous education here remains critical for many of these families who process ore in their compounds, crushing and grinding the rocks in their homes. Some choose to ignore the dangers because of the deep-rooted poverty threatening their survival.
The mortality rate has decreased to 2.8% in our overall patient cohort. But this means because we also treat our patients for comorbidities such as malaria, upper respiratory tract infections.
The federal government says it has completed the task of widely eliminating the lead poisoning from the villages, but the fight is far from over if there are no sustainable means of monitoring the program put in place. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
And when we return after the break, the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Mohamed Pate, explains the reasons why he had to resign.
And court stalls planned PDP convention. Details after the break.
In the dark, be the first to know. Get the latest news and developing stories anytime, anywhere, on your mobile device. Log on to m.channelstv.com and click on the Channels TV logo. Channels Television, the news at your fingertips.
Thanks for staying with us. For more on our top stories and other programs, visit our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb.
And if you're on the go, log on to m.channelstv.com to view us live on an iPad, iPhone, BlackBerry, or Android device. Download the Channels TV app for Android and Nokia 920 devices from their stores. The Minister of State for Health, Dr. Mohamed Pate, has been speaking on his resignation from the cabinet of President Goodluck Jonathan. He told our health correspondent Jamil Taigwe in Abuja that he enjoyed a good working relationship with his former colleague ministers, though there are some areas of his assignment that he would have loved to conclude before his exit.
2008, 27 states had cases of polio in all geopolitical zones. Now, this year, so far in 2013, the only state in Northwest that had polio cases was Kano, and the rest are in the Northeast, and that is attributable to the security situation. The circulating polio viruses in terms of genotype have collapsed from 34 to almost to just 2. One of the areas that I feel we could have done a lot better, we should have gotten a tobacco bill passed. I think the fact that the tobacco bill is still pending to be passed is something that we should have aggressively pursued to get. And why? Because non-communicable diseases are rising. Every day Nigerians are rising to the reality of things like hypertension, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and our young people, some places, picking up the habit of smoking, and the tobacco